we are from Team 1671, and this is our Financial Sustainability Workshop.
My name is Noor. I am the Chief Operations Officer for the Bird Brains. I oversee media, finance, outreach, and first programs.
Hi, my name is Caroline Kepler. I'm the team CEO this year, so I oversee the entire team.
Okay, so a little bit of preface, like what is financial sustainability? Well, financial sustainability is the ability to create flow of monetary income throughout your team for years. So you can sustain a lot of different projects and your team can continue to run for years to come and not just one season. So now that you know what financial sustainability is, I think a good way to start is to build a business plan. So what is a business plan? Well, a business plan is a plan outlined from your team, which highlights one, like goals and benchmarks for your team. Two, it highlights the objectives of your team for others to view. So not only is it concrete for you to look at and for you to see what your own goals are, but it also gives sponsors and stakeholders, those who are interested in sponsoring your team or connecting with your team as boosters, more idea into how professional your organization is. And then it also gives the impression that your team is something viable and worth giving time and resources to. So some important things to include in your business plan. You should have a demographic survey, which you use to add demographics to your business plan. You should have a mission statement. You should have your team's history. You should have your team's structure included, and you should have an analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and potential threats to your organization. So intentionality and returns. I think it's really important for every team to consider the unique context of their own team, which is like geographical, and then also their audience. So who they're going to connect to with their community and overall like where the money is going for impact. So fundraisers can be very important, but it's really essential that every team looks at what fundraisers are worth more than others. So for example, for our team, we've done fundraisers in the past with restaurants and fast food chains like Chipotle, where other teams we've seen on our campus, like we've had sports teams, they've made a lot of money from these fundraisers, but we've noted that we only make about $200. So it's not worth the effort of marketing these events and then putting together some sort of fundraiser connection and then having a bunch of kids go in there and taking away from other projects of our team in order to only make 200. So our team decided to start prioritizing bigger fundraisers that generate a lot of money at a time. And then for your own team, that can be applied where you should pick fundraisers that play to your advantages and then also consider your weaknesses and what your audience wants to invest in.
Okay, so some things that are really important to consider are just your team size and your community. For our example, on our team, after discovering that, hey, maybe restaurant fundraisers aren't our thing, we looked at our team size and realized we have a pretty big team. We also have parents who are really pretty involved with the team, so we decided to do a calendar fundraiser. So for this calendar fundraiser, we gave them out to each member of our team. We have about a 60-person team this year. And for every day of the month, they ask someone to donate. On October 1st, they'd ask someone to donate $1. On October 31st, it'd be $31. And it adds up quickly. Each student can make about $500 if they fill out this entire fundraiser. And when you have a large team, it quickly adds up. So it was just something that we noticed was beneficial for our own team. And if you have a larger team, you might want to consider doing something like it. Another big source of income for our team is grant writing. Our team does a lot of grants, and it's a really strong option for us, just because we also like to do training for our impact award and impact questions and the impact essay. So some of the training we do is we have newer members kind of shadow older members writing grants until they feel confident enough to try one on their own. And then we have the older members shadow the newer members and try to guide them through the grant. After that, we try to check with mentors and make sure that we're not missing anything or just any information we'd like to add. So it requires a lot of time, but it's really helpful once you've got students who know a lot about writing grants. It's a good way to make money. So yeah, Training should always include how to navigate a grant database. First does have a grant database on their website, which is really helpful, but grants can also be obtained through other companies that may just fall under like a STEM category. In grants, your team should write about your strengths your strengths, not your weaknesses. You should mention how your team contributes to your community. All the things you'd write about in your impact presentation. It's You could actually use your previous year's impact presentation to look at as for examples on what to write about. Um, and vice versa, once you've written a grant, you could kind of look at it and be like, okay, maybe we thought that these were our key points, so we should include this in our impact essay. And the next, it's really important to have some kind of statistics about your team. A lot of grants ask for things like, what's the gender ratio on your team? Do you come from an underserved area? Things like that. So it's important for our team to we have every member fill out a demographic survey in the beginning of the year, with just important and key information. This helps with writing grants and as well as our impact.
Measurability. So all of your team's finances should be well organized, and they should be organized in one place that's easy to track, easy to find, and easy to navigate. So for us, that looks like putting all of our sponsor relations, point of contacts, addresses for where we should email and or send different items like pictures or thank you cards. And then we also track where we're getting the money from in terms of like grants and then donations not from other sources. And then we also navigate like how much money we're making from each place that isn't from sponsorship. So for example, from a grant, we would write down exactly how much money we made, just so in the future we can have students also apply to the same grants. Applying to the same grants helps create that consistency, and we've found that applying to the same grants year after year has yielded a lot of great results in terms of how much we're making. So staying organized, it does take a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of training. Students need to see their leaders organizing, and they need to learn from that. And so it should be very consistent throughout the team in order to establish that culture of being organized, but it's worth it just because it creates more sustainability in terms of moving forth and students in the future working on that and adding the same sources of income in the future. So training, I did mention that training includes the elders having led by example, but there's more to training than just that. So training includes a little bit of budgeting education for students on the team. So how can you include budgeting education? Well, an idea is that you can have students come and pitch ideas for projects, but they pitch the budgeting constraints. And so when they're pitching budgeting constraints, mentors can view exactly where the student thinks money should be going and why. And then other students and the mentors can give constructive feedback and say, oh, well, maybe that doesn't fit into our budget for XYZ reason. And the student can use that as a learning opportunity where in the future, the student will make more logical decisions about where money should be going. And then the student can pass on their knowledge for years to come.
So it's not just about the money when it comes to financial sustainability. Sponsorships can be more than just that. So some important things that people can donate are just materials, time, and food for competitions. So we call it time, treasure, and talent. So treasure would be what kind of material donations can you donate, and then time and talent would be something like mentorship. So one thing our team did is we had a parent or a booster who worked at Frito-Lay. And so at competitions and at volunteer events, they often still donate chips for our team and for the volunteers. So another thing that our team has is we have a parent booster club. This is just a really important way for us to both stay connected with parents and keep getting a constant supply of just help and resources and food for all competitions and volunteer events. So our booster club meets regularly in order to make sure that they know what's going on with the team. We also allow parents to build the shop to try to create a community that continues to support us even when their student may graduate.
So a little bit about contingency planning. So, sustainability includes considering what could go wrong, and a part of that is starting each year with money. So, how can you start each year with money? Well, at the end of each season, you should account for the fact that your team is planning to run again the next year, and you should have money left over for your team to be able to spend in the future. So, what does that include? Well, that should include you planning to fundraise more than you're going to spend. So, thinking above your own means should be considered into contingency planning. And then also maintain good relationships so that even if maybe one day you fall back on money, or for example, we found out very last minute, I'm so sorry, we found out very last minute that we were going to Worlds last year and we needed money. Well, we had good connections and we were able to get discounted rates for our tickets to Worlds. So for something like that, it should be very reliable of a contact where you can fall back and you can still get a source of income and you can still continue to run even though you may not have the funds ready for you.
S- s- well, so that was our presentation. Is there any questions? Yes. On our in our packet, we include our team structure. So how are we organized? So it gives an idea of what our team does. Like we have a media director, when we have finance director, just kind of what our team encompasses overall. Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned that you guys, when you were talking about you're tracking your finances, what do you, like, just specifically, what do you guys use? Is it just like a Google Sheet, or do you guys use like software? Like, what's the database where you keep track of your, so we've been trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, so we use a
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. Great
who has access? Okay, so we do use a Google spreadsheet. And so for that, we've been using Google spreadsheets in the past. And so what we do is we'll organize the spreadsheets on the top. So we'll have like bolded titles in order to keep the spreadsheet clean. But then we'll have each student, everyone has access, everyone on the team has access. So when each student is seeing that they're applying to a grant or something, they can update the progress or the relationship. So maybe if they applied for a grant but haven't seen the money, they can click a box and they can just say, it's in progress. So we update the Google spreadsheet regularly and everyone has access.
Building off of that, so our finance team does a lot of entering information of when we've received grants, what grants we have applied to. We have two parts within the spreadsheet. First is our grant database, which just includes any grant that we've looked at or are planning to apply to. That includes just is if the grant's in progress, where the link is for the questions, and who's in charge of it. The next part of the document is what has how much money our team has received and just general information about spending.
I do want to add on to that. Sorry, I'm the coach of this team. The students are recording what the money is that's coming in, but the mentors have our own document that is tracking every single expense of what's going out, and so receipts that are being turned in, things like that. So that document is not shared with the students. The students are just mainly focused on how is money coming into the team, and the mentors are more worried about keeping track of what's going in, what's going out.
Got it.
Yeah, so they're more on the sponsor end, but we are, collecting money for trips and other fundraisers, what we're doing.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Besides what we all go to on first, right, and look for grants, how are you guys finding grants? Besides that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of varied databases, and some of them don't actually have anything to do with robotics. So, for example, I've seen like just by looking up like science grants, you can probably find a lot of databases for K through 12 educational programs, and a lot of those encompass anything which is spreading STEM in the community. So, just by looking up like general buzzwords and then typing grant, you can go to a link, and you can find over there if you have particular grants which are looking and for which you are eligible.
We also look at larger and both local businesses, local being things like our Rotary Club, and larger being things like Save Mart Center, Save Mart. So we look at those at their websites. A lot of them have grants that are very generalized, and then we just submit them from there. Also, yeah.
Does that
Yes.
answer you?
We come from a big sports school, so our sports teams don't need as much money as a lot of our academic programs. So, while they only need to raise like 200 or so, we need to raise a lot more, so, which is why it was just a more viable option for us.
Okay, so you're thinking they raised a similar amount, but they're getting funding from other places
Yes.
because that
We're
wasn't their
from a smaller
priority.
city too, overall, so things like that don't yield in the thousands of dollars that it takes to run a
Yeah,
robotics team. So it just wasn't necessarily the amount of effort you have to put in. You have to be there, you have to spread the flyers,
yeah,
people have to show the flyers, so they only give you a small cut. So we were like, how do we do fundraisers that give us 100% of the cut
right.
directly into our
Yeah,
accounts?
more return on your
Yeah,
investment.
investment.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Do you ask students and their families for like a fair share donation, or is it mostly fundraising?
Um, in the beginning of the year, we have a parent meeting where we say that, hey, if you would like to donate, please do so. And we also ask for money for competitions. But they're all donations. We try to raise as much money as possible so students don't have to spend too much. Yes.
So what is your kind of general budget? How much are your grants bringing in and how much are your boosters bringing in?
Yes. So we have like an outline of how much money that we require as a team, and so as a team, our budget is normally $100,000 per year. And so, could you repeat the second part of your question?
How much are you bringing in from
Mhm.
grants and such,
Mm.
your team specifically, and then how much are your boosters bringing in too? Or is it you just all consider it as one?
I think we've
Um,
normally all considered it as one. We
on
don't.
our list, we try to keep them separate. It tends to vary year to year depending on what grants we apply to, and sometimes we have boosters who are able to donate more. A lot of it comes from grant donations, though. Just our general fees that we just, if we go to Worlds, are about 100,000 per year. It's a lot. So
Here's just a breakdown of our budget right on the side. So, you want to go a little bit into it?
um, so yes. So let's see. So a lot we in the past we've done a lot of grant writing. We try not to rely too much on parent donations because we don't want to put the parents in a position where they have to spend a lot of money for their student to be on the team. So our team has always tried to focus more on grants and fundraisers. So we get a lot more money from that.
I'm also a mentor for Team 1671. Another resource you can tap into is your local community foundation. So in Central Valley, we have the Central Valley Community Foundation, and how that works is a lot of families or businesses will contact this regional foundation, and they'll develop accounts for different areas. And so we have typically in the past just written an email to them saying, hey, do you have any availability or any funds available to help in robotics? And they will do the search within their larger databases to see what's out there that might help their team. And in the past years, we have received some funds from there as well. So that is a resource you can tap into.
More specifically talking about, you asked like how much do your parents bring in versus students. Um, Back when I was on the team, the parents did help a lot, but now we've shifted the focus directly to students on bringing in specifically money. The parents are more getting us things like items for gift baskets that we put out at silent auction, or they're helping us with food, feeding the birds, things like that. I'm sorry, feeding the team, and not just random birds. So yeah, students are focused on money specifically. Parents are focused on items and helping with their, volunteering their time, things like that. Just because we don't want to, especially after COVID, we didn't want to tap into our families' money, resources, things like that. And we just want to see what they can donate. Whereas all these big companies have all this money, so we want to get that, more directly.
Well, I guess what I was saying, like boosters, are your boosters also out fundraising for you, or is it more your team doing all the
I
fundraising?
It's not the booster.
I can take that. So we ask boosters if they have any contacts at companies and stuff, but it's our team members that send all emails and form relationships with companies.
And there's a lot of companies that do donation matching, so we just ask our parents, hey, these are the list of companies that we know that do donation matching, and if you yourself do it, or if anybody that you know does it, please let us know so our students can reach out to them with a sponsor packet and get them in for it.
We do have copies of our calendar fundraiser and our business plan here if you would like to see it. Yeah. Do you want to just pass it around, I guess? Oh, the counter. Yeah.
You were talking about, well, I think when you were talking about tracking finances, you also said that you kind of track like communications with like with the businesses and relationships that you guys have. Do you do that? Is that what I heard? And
Yes.
do you do that in that Google sheet also? And
Yes.
come up with a structure to do that instead of like a
Yeah, so you're asking
sales
like how we maintain communication with our
yeah, like you guys were talking about how you track. I think this is what you said. I think you said
Yes.
that you track some of the communications and the relationships with the sponsors or
Okay. So,
thank you notes or
yes.
whatever. You know, just
Every year, we send out emails to our sponsors at the beginning of the year just saying, hey, you donated last year. Would you be willing to donate again? We follow this up with checking off just who we've sent the email to. And our next we also have a checklist for those who have already donated for thank you letters. So we try to keep checklists on our document, just on Google Sheets. It's really helpful just to make sure we don't contact the same person twice. Those sheets also often include parents who have been supporting the team over years. Yes?
So with like the matching donations, are you able to get like the funds that you guys like get donated from like your calendar fundraisers? Are you able to like get like those donations matched through like an individual companies or like certain companies, or are those ones like or does like the matching donation have to come from like just the individual companies?
Yeah, there's definitely workarounds that we use where it's like, hey, let's say that you donated 500 or $1,000, and this random third cousin that you have that works in the has that. We're doing anything we can basically to get those funds there, and whatever works, right? But we don't do it for every single donation check that we get for sure. But it's definitely
So like like those like whole donations like individually.
there's workarounds. Yeah, just leave it as a workaround.
Are there any other yes.
You just mentioned many sources of inputs that you guys have. What would you say brings in the like majority money out of that $100,000 budget? What brings in the majority of you guys' funds?
The two main things that our team does is just grant writing and then just reaching out to previous sponsors, because previous sponsors are just a really good consistent source of income, while grants are a little more you have to be chosen. So if you're just talking about a consistent stream of income, it's just past sponsors. However, when it comes to raising more, it's the grant writing. Are there any other questions? Well, that was it we had for our presentation, so thank you so much for coming. What?
I think we should break off.